Trustee Bettinger? Trustee Johnson?
Here.
Trustee Knutson? Trustee Mick?
Here.
Mayor Bakri?
Here. All right, we have a quorum and we can continue. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion, please?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion we approve the agenda as posted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes. Next up is announcements. I don't have any announcements. Does anybody else? Okay. All right, third on the agenda is the vacant trustee seat appointment. What I'd like to do is I'd like to offer each of the applicants a chance to come up and speak to the board. So I was going to go by alphabetically, but I think Ben needed to step out for a minute. So we're going to move on. So Steve, Mr. Keenan, would you like to come up and address the board?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think at this time, when I applied, I thought there was only one other person applying, and I think that you have other candidates who will be better suited at this time, and I might consider running for the general election. Thank you very much. I feel you need an explanation because I was looking forward to being on the board if you wanted me. I've been real busy with, I used to work in Afghanistan. I spent about 11 years volunteering with the Afghan people during the Cold War and was very involved with the genocidal war at that time. And definitely did not want to continue that when the Berlin Wall went down and things changed. I changed my priorities. For the last going on 8 years, I've been very busy with the brave people of Ukraine. And I feel with this opportunity we've just been given today by our president to have a diplomatic meeting, that I need to focus on that for the time being. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keenan, and yes, I hope you do run. All right, next up would be Judd Kleinman. Mr. Kleinman?
Thank you, Kleinman. I volunteered out of, a lot of you know my wife Amber, who served on the board for 4 years. She told me it was time that I served my part. I organize large groups of people for a living, so I think I'd bring some value there. I've never served on a board, so if you guys see fit, I would be happy to step in and do my part. So that's really all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, let me see if anybody has a question for you. Questions for Mr. Kleinman from the board? Yeah, Dean.
Well, I was going to ask questions of every single candidate. Is that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I think one thing I'd want to ask is if you could give me an example of a time when you were presented with evidence that was new or disconfirming evidence to what you believed and how that led you to change your mind.
I come up with a specific example of that. I mean, I guess I'd just say that I think in my line of work, I'm often presented by, so for those of you who don't know, I organize large festivals. Country Jam is one you may know in Conjunction. I have to work with lots of departments and lots of different folks with different ideas, and what I do specifically is I guess I'm similar to your head of streets or something. I'm the site director, so I design the site and I have to weigh other folks' ideas as far as is an idea that someone might be passionate about, is it safe, does it work for everybody, and despite the fact that it may not be my idea, is it the best idea? And I think I've succeeded through my career in making those decisions and listening to everybody's opinions, and not just not just working off my own, but listening to the opinions of lots of people to come up with the best decision, because there's more than one way to solve a problem.
I want to thank you for that answer. You're the only one that'll be caught off guard by that, and thank you for such a,
Exactly. What else
because
to
everyone
think
else now
about?
has a chance. But thanks, Judd. That was a good answer. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Anybody else? All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Kleinman. All right. Next up is Paige Smith. Ms. Smith?
Sure, that's working. Okay. I usually tend to, doesn't. Well, and thank you for this opportunity to be up here to kind of make the case as a trustee. And because I have come to so many meetings and have been part of government for so long, I understand the importance of the folks that are elected to serve the citizens need to serve everyone the same, and citizens need to be treated similarly with the imposition or the when we have to use ordinance, statute, and constitution, that all that be done on a level playing field with everyone, and down to the minutia of a building permit, any kind of permit that the town has to, that someone has to get when they come to the town, I think is really important, that we as trustees, if I were a trustee, have to make sure that everyone is treated the same. And for me right now, having been, having read the JDS report, and I so understand how much work needs to be done with our water infrastructure, that I feel I could bring a lot of my past professional experience to that, as well as understanding what needs to be done. So on that note, I will take questions.
All right, Dave.
Okay, so again, if you could give me an example of a time when you were presented with evidence or a situation that was disconfirming to what you thought before, and how that changed your mind.
Well, since I obviously had an opportunity to think about it, this goes way back when I worked for the state of Wyoming. I was permitting bentonite mines, and they're really hard to reclaim, and that was my job, was to work on making sure that the operator could reclaim them. And one of the things that they wanted to propose is putting wood chips from lumber mills into the soil that they had to reclaim, and I thought, no way. There's no way that's going to work, no way. Well, one of my coworkers did his research on that very methodology, that the wood chips would decompose and add organic matter to these really terrible soils, and it works. So that was, I mean, that's, I don't know why that came to mind, but that's the first thing that came to my mind, because it was something, scientifically it didn't make sense, but it did actually work. So there's an odd example.
Anyone else? All right, seeing none. Thank you very much, Ms. Smith.
Thank you.
All right, and next is Jeff Thompson. Mr. Thompson?
Thank you. Is that better? Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today, and the opportunity to potentially serve with you all on the town council. My name is Jeff Thompson. I'm a government employee. I work in park and natural resources. Some of that work has to do with managing large budgets, looking at employee performance plans, prioritized based work, and multi-project management. And so, you know, within that government work, you know, I've come to see the challenges that face us as government employees and getting things done, but also kind of the reward of accomplishments that benefit the people that we serve. And so that was really what kind of drew me to be here today, was, you know, the desire to be a part of the team and help us try to, you know, gain those accomplishments together. I'm a volunteer on the tree board here in town, as well as a board member of the local Dark Skies group. I feel really passionately about kind of the the lifestyle and the resources that provide that lifestyle that we have here in Paonia. I've also been a teacher, a volunteer organizer, and I've done a bit of grant writing in the past as well. And I'll just add, my sister works in economic development in rural areas. And so while I don't have a ton of expertise in that, I've got a good wing person to help with some of that too. But that's what I have to present to you. Thanks.
Go Dave.
Disconfirming evidence where you changed your mind?
No, I'm still here. So. Any questions?
Dave, I think you need to repeat your question.
Think of a time when you were presented with disconfirming evidence that caused you to change the position you had, something that was new and unexpected.
Well, you know, in my work, I don't know if I have a specific example, but I really like to make decisions that are evidence-based and based on science and fact. And so there have been times when my presuppositions, maybe I walk into decisions with you know, the knowledge or the ideas that I've walked into the room with in the past, and I'm really open to, you know, objective input and being able to pivot to, you know, use the best information possible to make decisions.
Thank you very much. All right, Mr. Graves. How I missed you, I don't know, but you're up.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for that opportunity to speak to the board. My name is Ben Graves, lived in Paonia for about 6 years so far, and I've lived in Delta County for the last 12. And my background is in education. I was a teacher in the Delta County School District and actually was introduced to Paonia by teaching at Paonia High School. And I think the qualities that I bring to this board, if selected, would primarily be some of those qualities that made me an effective educator, which includes really valuing diversity of thought and opinion, and being able to communicate to folks with differing viewpoints, and also, you know, communicating in general. And so I think another perspective that I bring to the board is, you know, it's difficult for folks that have young families or children in general to serve on the board. I hear it's a large time commitment and quite a reading commitment, which is challenging as a parent of young kids. But I think that perspective brings a lot, because our town is seeing, you know, I don't know if growth is the right word, but there are quite a few young families moving to the area. And I think there's a lot of issues that can help make this place more attractive, but also better for the families that exist here. So I think that perspective as a parent, as an educator, and as a former teacher and someone who's involved deeply in the school system here, would make me a good candidate. And yeah, and I've been in front of the board speaking mainly about recreation issues, and I think that's another passion of mine, project managing and understanding what it takes to pull off recreation issues that get kids outside and families outside. So that's another perspective that I hope to bring. And Dave, you don't have to repeat your question. I think I understand it. You know, I was trying to put my finger on an exact situation, but as a teacher for about 10 years, I think I was faced daily with instances of students challenging my views on everything from, you know, the course material, but also really, I think what I learned the most as a teacher is just dealing with humans, and, you know, with emotions and with the reality of living life. And especially a 14 or a 16-year-old, you have certain assumptions about the way they're going to think about a certain subject, or actually how they might respond to certain crises in the world, or a local or family crises, and you have certain perspectives or opinions about how they may respond to that, and being continually challenged by, you know, the grit and reflection that sometimes students bring. You know, sometimes you assume that teenagers might not be deep thinkers or reflective of thought. So I think that in general, my experience as a classroom teacher daily challenged the way that I thought about the world and about people. So.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Mr. Graves. All right. We're going to do a procedure here where the board, you have a sheet of paper in front of you with the names of the candidates on it. I would like you to rank them. And then we're going to give those sheets to Ms. Ferguson, and she will tally it up. Do you want 1 to 5 or just 1 and 2? Let's do 1 to 5. Right, and we can, you know, if you want to discuss things, while you're thinking, I tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up for public comment. If anybody would like to make a comment, I would appreciate it. This is the time to do it. Yes, Mr. Keenan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Oh.
I was looking forward to having an opportunity to possibly be voted in this board. I want to thank all of you for the work you do. It's a lot of work. And in a lot of ways, it's a thankless job because you can't satisfy the whole town at all times. And our town is pretty energetic with their thoughts at times. So I just want to acknowledge that. I just hope that this is an opportunity with a new board coming on, new members of the board coming on, that we're more efficient with the time during the meetings, that we have more of a focus on what we want to achieve and not, I've never, you know, I ran for Boulder City Council to get our energy initiatives passed. We won by 200 votes. I didn't want to win, so maybe I'm replicating myself, but I have been very busy with Ukraine, and we do have an opportunity to get things a little better. I just hope that what I feel is going on is we're spending way too much time where you're allowing people to, and I'm addressing our fantastic mayor, I've never been in a town board meeting ever. I've been in more than one, where if I want to speak for 10, 15 minutes, I'm allowed to. I think there should be specific time, and I know that at times you say we're only going to allow 2 or 3 minutes, but I think it should be just a given, because I've witnessed too many times where people are disrespectful to the board while they're standing here. I don't think that should be tolerated. I know that people have been called out, but I just want to call it out now publicly. I think Corinna is a fantastic administrator, and she's working really hard, and she knows this town really well. So all this background activity going on to try to get a new town manager is wasting a lot of time and is not necessary. I think spending $15,000 for a consultant to find a police chief, we had a good police chief. He was fantastic. And why did he resign? He resigned to protect his wife. Let's be realistic about this. Because of very unnecessary bickering going on. I don't think anyone is stealing from this town the way it's occurred in the past. We did have a thief. And that shadow of that theft, which was extensive, still is here with us today. And I think that people should accept that we have honest people on the board and we have honest people on the staff. I would have a very hard time trying to teach you how to be a thief. I mean, and I'm not saying that that's my expertise. It isn't. But the fact remains is that I think the town needs to get a bit more efficient. We have some issues going on. And I hope that everyone who applied for this position is given the respect that they deserve. I think Paige, I'm just going to single her out, she knows numbers, and she's willing to look at numbers. And whoever gets voted in, I wish them the best, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Watson.
We live in such a great country that, you know, we can express our opinions and what we think. So thank you. I was just wondering about the process you're following, just kind of the mechanics of it. Is this an anonymous vote, or is it, do we get to know how our trustees voted on this? And what's the most appropriate? I mean, do you get to do secret balloting?
So this was the procedure that was used from the former mayor when they were filling seats, and it was not a secret. Sorry, I'm trying, but it's difficult. It was not a secret ballot. After they were tallied, it was stated how each individual person voted, because you do need to put your name on your paper. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. So, anything else from the public? All right, seeing none, then let's go ahead and rank your people. Put your name on it, and then we'll pass it on to Corinne, and she will tally. Now we need some music while we while away the time. Dave reminded me that I need to thank everybody who put their name in, which is true. Thanks everyone who decided to put your name in and try and be on this board. And I really appreciate the fact that there were so many people who did step up to the plate and say that they wanted to be part of this. And so I'm very pleased that we have as many people as we did. I hope that everyone who is not chosen tonight, and everybody who did get chosen tonight as well, I hope that every single one of you will go ahead and pick up your papers at the end of January and run for the board. That election will be in April. And the more people we can get, the better. I think the biggest field I've seen, there were like 16 people that ran for the board at one point. And it was a great field, and it gave people choices. And we have some incredible talent in this room. And we have incredible talent in this town. And the people are willing to put in the effort and take the time, because this is a hard job sometimes, a very hard job sometimes, to step up to the plate and say, yes, I want to be there for the town. I think you all should be highly commended for your efforts. Now, if the board, anybody else on the board wants to say something, have at it. Yes.
This is sort of off the subject, but not really. I just want to remind everybody that we still have an opening for treasurer.
So the two individuals are Ben Graves and Jeff Thompson. And Karen Budinger. So then what I'll do is read the top two for each individual vote. Karen Budinger voted Jeff Thompson first, Ben Graves second. Tammy Meck voted Paige Smith first, Ben Graves second. Nick Johnson voted Ben Graves first, Jeff Thompson second. And Dave Knutson voted Jeff Thompson first, Ben Graves third. Oh, wait. Okay, so we have a tie. Sorry, because we have Paige Smith second. So we have a tie. So
all right. know, I think we could retally and do it again, because then it would be up to me, and I don't think that's fair to the board. So, do you want to do a verbal tally, or do you want to do a written one? Okay, then Ms. Mack?
Do you just want to know who we prefer, or do
Right,
we?
of the two candidates, so we have Jeff Thompson and Paige Smith. No, I'm sorry.
No. Yes. Right.
Okay, all right, sorry, my confusion. All right, between Ben Graves and Paige Smith,
I choose Paige Smith.
okay?
Ben Graves.
Paige Smith.
Karen? Use your microphone, please.
I'm concerned about Ben Graves' time. I really am. You're a father, a teacher. You have a large commitment, and we've heard you. And we know that you're a busy man. We also know that you're absolutely fantastic. So it's hard to choose. And we know that Paige is probably the most qualified for this particular job, because she's been here and she's studied, and she's quite up on everything that we're doing, which is why I wanted her to be the treasurer. I want to pass. Okay, Ben.
Okay. All right, so then it does come down to me to break the tie. And I'm going to put in for Ben Graves. I think he is incredibly qualified, and I would be honored to have him on the board. And Paige, would you please consider being our treasurer? Because I think that would be a real asset to this town. Okay, I'm sorry. The rules here are the same for a regular meeting. So, can we have a motion, please?
Madam Mayor,
Okay. Yeah, Tammy?
I believe each motion should be for an individual
Sure.
person. Thank
Sure.
you.
so Madam Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the application of Jeff Thompson to join the board.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
I think it's inappropriate to, I'm sorry, Karen, Trustee Budinger, I don't think that should be swaying trustee votes at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think we're just witnessing some of the issues that we're having going on every town meeting we're having this. This isn't the peanut gallery. This is residents of the town and the valley, and I don't think it's acceptable for people just to be yelling out like that. It really throws the meeting off. And I want to share something with you all. One of the reasons why I decided it's not the time for me to be on the board if you were going to vote me in, I have an arrest record. And I just felt, am I going to just be raw meat for the tigers? Because it is, my arrest record is colorful. Some of you are aware of my arrest record. I've shared with it privately. I'm the first person in the state of Colorado to get arrested on a brand new law they passed through the state legislature. I'm the first person in the state of Colorado in 1985 to get arrested for assault on the elderly. Now, if you look at my arrest record, I assure you it's colorful. It's easy to get. I've always been open about it. The fact is that the arresting police officer who put handcuffs on me, that police officer got sentenced to 29 years in prison. It was a deep undercover operation, and we had suspected that this cop was a child pedophile. And I was called in to assist, which I agreed to. But at times, 35 years later, I have to explain why were you arrested as the first person in the state for assault on the elderly. So I'm explaining it publicly. But it is one of the reasons why I decided not to run. Because I just felt that the way people have been treating some other members in this room, I figured, you know, if you want to be raw meat on the tigers, great. But I've got some international responsibilities. So. Okay. And if someone really wanted to check out some colorful arrests, check my international arrests.
Thank you very much. All right. Anyone else from the public? All right. So we have a motion to appoint Jeff Thompson to the board. Oh, I'm sorry, Tammy.
Madam Mayor, I find it very unfair that we were not allowed to speak, but Ms. Buttinger was. And I would like to say that the only person, I had 2 phone calls and I ran into 2 people in the post office, and both of them recommended Paige Smith and said, please fight to get Paige Smith on the board. One of them lives in my old neighborhood and said the neighborhood wants her on the board. So I just wanted to say that. I also would add that Trustee Bear, former Trustee Bear, said his #1 choice is Paige Smith. I just needed to say that since Ms. Buttinger got to say what she thought. And yeah, I was torn between Mr. Graves and Mr. Thompson because they're both just phenomenal. And I think Paige Smith was the obvious choice. So thank you for letting me speak.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
Well, I also have had people from the town speak very highly of Ben Graves and Mr. Thompson and ask that I do what I can to vote for them, because both of them have been a positive force on several local committees. So that's why I voted for you two. Thank you.
Yay.
I was also approached by a citizen who urged me about, it was Jeff Thompson and Paige Smith. And my question about disconfirming evidence goes back to my history with Paige, because she challenged this board a lot about a purchase that we made quite a while ago. And I myself, when she presented some of the evidence from government, and when I went around and talked to other colleagues of mine that were in government, I realized that in many places she was right. For instance, the federal government does not even allow anything, like it's water only. And so I felt like Paige has been a person who has diligently studied every single agenda. She has been at every meeting. She has been I can count on her for doing her homework. And I was disappointed when Michelle went off the board, but I think Paige would be a good replacement for her. Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to appoint Jeff Thompson to the board. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion passes. Can we get another motion, please?
I move that we appoint Paige Smith to the board.
Second.
Discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
you know, this is one of those things when this is one of those things when you change your mind. You know, like I said, I believe that Paige is very qualified for all of the reasons that we spoke of. And I am concerned about Ben's timing. I mean, you know, it takes a lot to do this. So I'm very happy to vote for Paige. You know.
All right. So we have 3 ayes and 1 nay. That motion passes. All right. If there's any other discussion?
Ben's off the hook.
Yeah. Sam's going to be happy too. All right. Thanks again, everyone who put your name in. I hope you all run for town council. And Tuesday, Paige and Jeff, you'll be on the board. Congratulations. All right. This meeting is adjourned.